we go. Turn the music down really, really low. And now we can start the show. Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Friday Nitro Review. It's been a while. We've both been really busy. He's still really busy.
I don't stop.
But we're here.
Can't
we're
stop,
ready.
won't stop, baby.
We're finally going to do Friday Nitro Review for episode 6 of WCW Monday Nitro from October 9th, 1995. Jim, first off, how you doing? And how's wrestling treating you?
Man, that's a loaded question. I've been good. Like you said, I've been busy. I stay busy. That's the way I live my life, baby. As far as wrestling goes, for the most part, I've been enjoying it. I have some complaints, but don't we all? If you watch the Positively Awesome Wrestling show this past week, you would have heard my major complaint, and I'll just leave it at that.
That's fine. And I think I know what that major complaint was, so we'll just brush past.
I'm happy to be watching Nitro again because again, it's been a fun blast from the past of stuff I just haven't seen before. So I've been enjoying.
Yeah, I'd never seen this episode either, so I was really excited for this one because a lot of good matches, a lot of short matches this week. One really exceptional match, which I think we'll get to in a bit from the middle of the show. But anyway, to get things started, I am Nick the Geek, and I'm joined always by my friend, my co-host, and my co-host, Jimmy Bebe, the Drip King. This is the review of Monday Nitro. Friday Nitro? What am I saying? This is the
Friday Nitro
review of
WCW Monday Nitro.
Monday Nitro from October 9th to 1995. I nearly said 2025 as well, and you can tell I'm out of practice. So let's get started. So, first off, we start off with a recap of last week's beatdown of Hulk Hogan by the Giant and Kevin Sullivan dressed as a woman. Where they shaved his mustache off, and there's a little part of me that wishes they left the Hitler tash in the middle that they started, but they didn't. They shaved off the whole thing.
They're not ballsy enough.
Yeah, they weren't ballsy enough. But it would have been good, especially considering Hulk Hogan is basically a fascist. If anyone's in the news today. This starts off with the commentary team, the usual of Bobby the Brain Heenan, Eric Bischoff, and Steve Mongo McMichael with his stupid chihuahua. They are in Chicago this week, so Mongo gets a huge response because he is a former Chicago Bear, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of them winning the Super Bowl, which I didn't know you guys did. I thought, you just let it go after 10 years and think, we haven't won it 10 years. But no.
Well, when you only win one of them, you celebrate it as often as possible.
The commentary team is quickly interrupted by the man called Sting. Sting comes over, he grabs a microphone, and he says that there are problems with Lex Luger and Randy Savage, and he has the solution. Not sure how much of a good solution it is when we get to that in a bit, but he has a solution. After this, we go all the way to match 1. First match, The Shark, formerly Earthquake, versus Sting for the United States Heavyweight Championship, and this match went about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
It starts off with Shark going fast and hard. He hits a body slam. He hits a running power slam. He hits Hogan's running leg drop and gets more air than Hogan has in about 10 years. Sting kicks out. Sting comes back with 2 Stinger splashes. Then he comes back with a top rope flying cross body. Gets to 1, gets to 2, gets to 3, and the match is done. Jimmy, what did you think?
I like for a quick match, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't mind the short matches. I never have. If anybody knows me, they know that. I think they're necessary at times. They operate as filler. It's better than just going out there and cutting promos all the time. It shows levels in competition, which I think is important. Sting is a very top guy, and the Shark is not. So for them to have a competitive match just doesn't make sense to me. So I like it. Get Sting out there. The crowd should be able to see Sting, especially if Nitro is to be taken as a serious show. He's your WCW United States champion. He needs to be presented as it. So
agreed.
Overall, like I enjoyed it for what it was. You can't rate it because again, it was only like a minute.
It was a nothing match.
I was pulling this up if I could find it, but yeah, you blink and you miss something. That's all I'll say about it.
Pretty much. But I was eating a sandwich while I was watching this match, and I thought it was going to go a little bit longer. And then they did the 3 count, and I was like, I better make some notes.
So, yeah, not a bad match. Let's see. It was 1 minute and 17 seconds long. So
there we go. It is what it is. It was what it was. Sting got to go over. I'm a happy boy.
Yeah.
So
he got some height on that first Stinger splash, though. That was crazy. I thought he was going to fly over the shark.
Yeah, he got some real height on that first one.
He was jumping the shark.
Nice, good reference. That, by the way, for all of you people that aren't that old, is a Happy Days reference. We then cut to another shot of Hogan getting his ass kicked the previous week.
And I just want to point out, I'm so happy they showed the recap of this because, we hadn't seen the shows in a while. We've been busy.
Yes.
So some of that had been gone. I forgot about it because I'm not really that invested in this Hogan storyline anyway. So to get the recaps helps me rewind, and it allowed all the other things that that happened on the shows to kind of come crashing back in. Like, okay, now we're back in the swing of things. So that's why recaps are important, people.
Yes, they are. Especially at this point in wrestling history when the internet was literally just created 6 weeks before this show.
Yeah, and people were not
by
on
an English teacher in Suffolk, if you didn't know, by the way, Jim.
People weren't on the internet like this. Not even close. No, I don't even think I had internet until like 98.
No, dude, it was literally 6 weeks old.
Yeah,
it was created on September 4th, 1995, by an English teacher in Suffolk whose name completely eludes me at this point. I think that was the date, right? Anyway, but the internet was created in 1995 by an English teacher in Suffolk, so it was weeks old. Like nobody had the internet at this point. I only know this because he took part in the London Olympics opening ceremony where he played piano with Mr. Bean.
It says it was technically created in 1983, but I don't know how it became more accessible in the 90s. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
I think it became a worldwide thing in the 90s. That's what I think happened.
After this, we cut to our second match, which I really enjoyed because I am an ECW mark.
Yeah, it was good.
And this was the returning Sabu, who we haven't seen since week 1 of Nitro.
Yeah. I think we even talked about it in the last episode. We're like, man, where's Sabu go?
He's just gone nowhere. And then this week, he's back.
There he is.
And he wrestles Mr. JL, also known as Jerry Lynn. Creative geniuses there at WCW, putting him under a mask and calling him Mr. JL. Really, really, really good. This was a fun match.
Yeah.
It started off hot with Sabu hitting springboard leg drops, normal leg drops. At one point, he hits a Jeff Hardy, for lack of a better word, a poetry in motion off a chair on the outside into Mr. JL on the guardrail. Mr. JL comes back with a big sunset flip. What else? I have notes. Yeah. I always have notes.
He hit not a springboard, but I don't know what they call it. But when you do the moonsault, you drop off the top rope, but you bounce your legs on the rope to
the Arabian press.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, he did that.
Yeah, the Arabian press. Christopher
Mr.
Daniels
JL's back.
Yes, right to Mr. JL's back, and then he locked in the camel clutch with one arm. The Sabu tends to do hooked over the leg as opposed to both, which I always liked because it differed him from everybody else's version of the camel clutch. JL does not tap out because Sabu just, as usual, lets go of the hold.
Well, the first time he put it on is because he grabbed the ropes. And what I liked about this,
grab the ropes.
What I liked about the spot was because you're holding one, if you turn one way, he could reach the ropes. And the way it was set up is that it was believable that he could just turn and grab the ropes. It wasn't one of those things where he has to crawl, even though he has he shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, he shouldn't
because the other guy is basically controlling him with all his weight on top of him. So it was I liked the spot because of that. It was very smart. And then I think Mr. JL ended up going for a top rope move after that. He missed, and then he went. Then the one arm camel clutch finished the match.
Well, correct. It wasn't. JL was up top. Sabu went for a top rope Hurricane Rana. Mr. JL held on.
That's right.
Mr. JL held on. Sabu hit the floor. Then JL went for a diving nothing, effectively. Sabu got out of the way, hit him with another leg drop, then put him in the camel clutch and got the submission victory.
Yeah.
This was a fun match. It was probably the best match on the whole show, in my opinion.
Clearly.
Really good. It's nice to see Sabu at this point in his career when ECW hasn't completely destroyed his body, because he can still go at a respective level as opposed to what he was like in 1998 and 1999, where it was like watching Shawn Michaels in 1998, right? Where you can see he's just in pain all the time.
Yeah. So in my notes, I wrote very fun match. You said it was fun match, right on the money. I'm looking here. The match, it was 4 minutes and 28 seconds long. And I can say it did not feel like that at all.
No.
Time just kind of, I guess, froze for me because I was like, this is just a fun match. I didn't think, if you would have asked me, I would have said, oh, it's probably like 8 or 9 minutes, just based on how much stuff they got in without it feeling overly rushed. It was just a really well-structured match. When Mr. JL first came out, the mask, very Rey Mysterio-like. I was like, what's this freaking deadbeat doing here already? But then they pan out, and I was like, oh, that's not a luchador at all. That guy.
That's a white guy.
Yeah, and I looked it up, and I saw Jerry Lynn. I was like, oh, that was creative.
So creative.
Yeah, and then they kept fighting after the match. More post-match nonsense, which is something that they love to do. They also like to do the pre-match attack before the bell even rings. Very sorry to say it, AEW-esque, but
yes,
again, if it works, it works, and here it worked. I thought it was a great match.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved it.
Well, as I've said for years, wrestling has a 7-year shelf life. After 7 years, it's brand new again, so you can do it again. So AEW, I don't really criticize for doing all the WCW things because WCW's been dead for 20 years. So,
and if it works, it works. Like that.
Exactly.
That's the way I see it. Like, who am I to judge if the fan base is eating it up?
No, precisely. But we move on from this, Jim, to commentary talking up about, where was I? Yeah, they talk about Hogan and Giant and Sting, Luger and Savage. We then cut to Mean Gene in the ring. And Sting and Luger are already in the ring. Sting calls Savage down to the ring. Savage goes to attack Luger straight away. They separate them. Mean Gene's like, whoa, calm down. This is not the place or the time for that, Randy. Yeah. Which is ridiculous. It's in a wrestling ring, Gene. Where is the better place for the time for this to happen than the actual ring?
Let them fight.
Sting basically gets into it with Savage. Savage starts saying, well, why is it, Stinger, that the Giants chokeslammed me and he chokeslammed Luger, but he hasn't chokeslammed you? I need to stop doing that. I can't do Randy's voice anymore.
Let me tell you something, Stinger.
Oh, it's so hard. I need a drink now.
What I liked about that was immediately after Sting's like, Randy, you're paranoid. It's like, yo, tell us something we don't know, man.
No. It's always the way it's like. Randy Savage's entire career, he has been paranoid, Sting. You don't need to reiterate this.
Have you seen the clip that was floating around last week of he was facing what was it? The guy with the bird. His name's slipping my tongue.
Beware.
Yes. And before the match, Macho Man goes between the ropes and points at the bird like he was he was even paranoid of the bird.
The bird's gonna interfere. The bird's gonna interfere and cost him the match.
God, Randy was awesome. God, he was so awesome.
Good. Sorely missed. But basically, Sting has a genius idea. Sting's genius idea to solve the Luger and Savage problem is that at Halloween Havoc, Lex Luger is wrestling Ming, and Randy Savage is wrestling Kamala, who I didn't even know was in the company at this point.
Yeah, he's part of the Taskmaster's crew, isn't he?
Yeah, but I'd totally forgotten this. Right, it literally had to be said.
Yeah, I don't think he's been on. Yeah, he hasn't been on since Fall Brawl. I don't think.
No, it hasn't been. And Sting's genius idea is that if Luger can beat Ming and Savage can beat Kamala, then immediately following these matches, they will wrestle at Halloween Havoc. Now, pardon me, I really need to not do that Randy Savage voice anymore. Now, how this is going to solve the heat between Randy and Lex when they've already had one match and it did nothing but escalate the heat between Randy and Lex, I'm not entirely sure. But
just gotta let him fight it out.
Exactly. Sting is my boy. He knows these things. It's good. I like the bit in this promo where Randy gets in Sting's face and Sting goes, you ain't going to slap nobody because otherwise you slap me, you're slapping the wrong guy. And Randy just goes, oh, yeah.
Great.
After this.
Well, then he went after Luger, and then even Luger was mad at Sting. He goes, don't be putting words in my mouth and stuff like that. So I like this tension. I hope this leads to a triple threat between the three of them, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I really hope that's what we're going with this, because Sting is trying to play peacemaker, and neither one of them are wanting to listen to him because they feel like he's taking sides here. And that's the recipe for a triple threat.
Matches.
I hope that's where we're going here.
With any luck. But this is Eric Bischoff's booking, so there is no guarantee that it will be logical and go for a triple threat match. And next, Murder McMurderson debuted.
Yeah.
I
was trying to figure out who this was leading to. So they were building him up from Japan, and I was like,
about a guy who's made his name in Japan and Mexico and Europe.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to figure it out. And then a fully mulleted Chris Benoit walks out of a car and says, "WCW, where the big boys play."
Bro, you ain't no big boy. What you talking about?
He's shorter than me. But we quickly move past Benoit to your favorite moment of the week, Jim. Where the Disco Inferno inexplicably just appears, has his music play, dances in the entranceway, and then gets cut off by a wrestler. This time, Big Bubba Rogers.
He got some time. He got some time to do his dancing this week because he did it week 5 as well, and it didn't last very long. This week, he got about 45 seconds in. And I was like, yeah, let's get this. They had the little background thing going. It was beautiful.
And I love the fact that when they stopped his music, he pulled out a boombox and pressed play and then just carried on playing his music. And you can hear it over the entrance music of Road Warrior Hawk, who was Big Bubba's opponent in this match. And I love the way they covered up for Road Warrior Hawk refusing to lose and do the job by having Disco shove a Nitro hat on one of the spikes on his entrance gear, and then just show up inexplicably again with a different suit on.
Yeah, that's talent, baby.
He got changed fast enough, and then just proceeded to dance on the ring apron.
Fantastic.
And then Road Warrior Hawk just beats the shit out of him all the way down the entranceway and gets counted out and loses. Because if anyone doesn't know, the Road Warriors, especially Hawk, were famous for not wanting to do jobs to people. They didn't lose. They wanted to protect their image and everything else. So they just would find semi-creative ways for the Road Warriors to never lose matches. Fair.
Stupid, man.
Okay for what it was. Bubba Rogers hit a big stinger splash in the corner at the beginning of this match. Like a big one. Because Boss Man can still move at this point.
Question. Because I've not seen much of Big Boss Man stuff pre-Attitude Era.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of him as Ray Traylor in WCW, but that didn't last long. But most of my knowledge of him is Attitude Era Big Boss Man, which was awesome. He was great.
Yeah.
I noticed he got whipped into the corner and he slid under the rope and came back in like Baron Corbin.
Yes.
Is this something he did regularly?
Yes.
So Baron Corbin got this from him for sure.
Yes. Corbin got this from
That's
the
cool.
Man.
That's cool.
Yeah, he did. And it's one of his better moves, one of his better spots, in my opinion.
It's impressive because he's a big dude.
For a big dude to do that, he's like 320 pounds.
Yeah, he's not slim like Baron is. Like it's impressive.
Yeah, for him to slide on the ropes, come back in, hit that clothesline. He always used the left arm lariat as well, which is weird because when you come back in, the way he went out, he'd go out on the left and come back in on the right, but he'd always then come across with the left arm lariat instead of the right arm lariat, so it looked more impactful. And I thought the timing on it was really good. It always was. But the one thing that I always got amazed by the Big Boss Man at this point, which you won't know from the Attitude Era, is his shirt. Now, if you noticed, it was open down to about here.
Okay.
Well, when he was Big Boss Man in WWE back in the day, his shirt would be closed. But
I thought he had it like
match.
I thought it was the second button.
Every single match, it would come open.
Yeah.
So when he got to WCW as Big Bubba, he just stopped fastening the shirt. He just leave it open at the beginning of every match because he got tired of it popping open and everyone on the commentary moaning on about it all the time. But I thought this was a fun match for what it was. I mean, it wasn't really a match. It was more
1 minute and 39 seconds, and 10 seconds of that was Road Warrior Hawk beating down Disco Inferno in the aisleway, which is a shame. It's a shame that he feels the need to be protected in a singles match.
Considering it's not a tag match, it's against a legit guy who's been in the business as long as he has.
It's not like he had to lose those Disco Inferno. Like you're losing to Big Bubba Rogers, aka Big Boss Man, in a singles match out of your element. Bro, they must have just been stupid. Like, because it doesn't make sense to feel the need to be protected. I don't know. That's weird.
But the Road Warriors, especially Hawk, were always so obsessed with protecting their image. like being a badass that doesn't go down to anybody. Because if you look at their AWA run, Jim, like when they were the Road Warriors before they were the Legion of Doom, and they were basically running the Mad Max gimmick. Well, they never lost a match.
That's
like
insane.
For 4 years, they didn't lose a match. They get counted out occasionally. They get DQ'd occasionally. But basically, a Road Warriors formula was they come to the ring, they beat the shit out of you. And in the Road Warriors case, they literally beat the shit out of people.
I think,
and then they win.
I think as a tag team, I'm cool with it though, because that's their image as a tag team. My thing is like if you're not in a tag match, I don't feel like the need to protect yourself should be as strong. You're stronger as a unit than you are separate. Like I think that makes the tag team even far more impressive when you do it that way.
Yeah, it makes sense. But it is the Road Warriors, and that's what they do. Right after this, we cut to arguably my favorite moment of the night, and I never usually say this about a Hulk Hogan segment. But because Hogan came down glorious with no mustache and
looking like a fool.
Almost Hollywood-esque gear. This to me is the first sign of Hollywood Hogan in WCW because he was wearing all black. He was cutting a badass promo, not his usual.
Yeah, thing. It wasn't the rah-rah-ree shit that he usually did.
No. This was, I'm pissed off. I'm going to beat the crap out of this guy. He mentioned Andre. Because obviously at this point they're still selling the fact that the Giant is Andre's son, and now obviously they've got around the legal snafu when they're able to use Andre's name. Either that or they just don't care because
it probably wasn't a thing back then, honestly.
He even mentions Vince, that promoter up in New York, whose ego
was that Vince?
Too big. Yeah, it was. He was talking about Vince. Whenever they talk about New York at this point in wrestling, they're talking about Vince.
Okay, so
because was this WWE, WWF at the time?
Was this when Vince was going through the court troubles?
Yes.
Okay, so that was the reference. Okay, I thought so, but I was like, no, they're Connecticut. They're not New York.
No. But whenever they talk about the New York territory, they're talking about Vince because nobody run Madison Square Garden except for WWF.
Okay.
They were the only show in town that were allowed to run the Garden. I mean, there was a thing a couple of years ago with the AEW running the Garden, where Vince tried to kibosh the show.
Yeah.
Because he turned around and said, well, if you do this, then WWE are never going to run a show in the Garden again. And the Garden pulled the show.
Didn't AEW
and then they relaunched the show because they were like, whoever owns the Garden now was like, I don't give a fuck what he says.
Yeah, I was going to say, because didn't the pay-per-view that Cody took the bet on Meltzer, wasn't that in the Garden? Yes. Before they were AEW.
No. All In.
Yeah, it was the first show they did.
Chicago. All In was Chicago, wasn't it?
Let me look this up because I'm pretty sure the first show they did, because it was like
the Ring of Honor New Japan show that Jay White main evented was in the Garden.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think All In was in Chicago, wasn't it? Or was it Daly's place? Sorry, folks.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll look it up and let you know.
We have these discussions. But yeah, so this was your standard Hogan affair. Basically saying that he wants the Giant to show up. He's going to beat him down. He's going to smash the Giant tonight if the Giant's got the balls to get in the ring, even though Hogan knows that there is in kayfabe a restraining order against the Giant, meaning he can't come in the building or within X amount of feet of Hulk Hogan until the match at Halloween Havoc, which is still one of the weirdest stipulations in wrestling history because they have a monster truck tug of war on the roof of the building. And then whoever wins this match, it doesn't matter. They will be wrestling in the main event for the WCW World title. Now, the other thing that happens at Halloween Havoc is Hulk Hogan tries to murder the Giant. Because he throws him off the roof of the building after the monster truck.
Wow, spoilers. I'm going to watch Halloween Havoc.
Oh, well, spoiler, Jim. He throws him off the roof of the building. Right? And then hours later, they're just fine. And the Giant shows up for his match.
Bro, he hulked up.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's not going to work for me, brother.
After the Hogan also compared shaving his mustache off to burning the American flag.
And Jimmy Hart's like, whoa. And he goes, shut up.
Shut up, Jimmy. which I thought was amazing personally because I'm not American, Jim. So
I was like, I wonder if Jimmy went off script there, man, because that's kind of a crazy thing to say there, Hulk.
Yeah. It's like, come on, Hulk. It's just your mustache. It's not the American flag. After this, we go to our main event. Well, we had a Halloween Havoc promo. And then, because of how I am watching Nitro at the moment, I got a very long American commercial break from 1995, which was thoroughly entertaining. Because
I didn't get any of them, so that's good. Thank you, Peacock.
Where was it?
I'll say this before we go to the main event. What I really like about the booking so far here is Kevin Sullivan is the number one heel in WCW at this moment.
Yes.
And the way they're booking the storylines of the people that are all intertwined in it makes him look like a great heel.
Yeah,
because he's got in their heads and they're fighting with each other, and he's turned Hulk Hogan away from being who the Hulkster really is. Like, he's a diabolical heel who has been booked without having to go in there and beat people as a just credible guy. I think if Bischoff is booking this stuff, I think that's some shit he should get credit for. Because everyone always he did NWO, he did the Cruiserweights, that's all he ever did. This is good shit.
Well, at this point, Kevin Sullivan's the booker.
I'm doing it based on like how we're watching it. Up until this point, Kevin Sullivan has been booked great. Like, I buy him as a top heel, and again, I've only seen him wrestle one match.
Well, unfortunately, Eric is not booking this.
Okay. Is it Kevin
Sullivan is booking this.
Okay, well then good job, Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan is booker until the infamous Brian Pillman scene where Brian Pillman turns around and goes, "I respect you, Booker man," on his way out of the company on the way out of a match. No. Kevin Sullivan would not be the booker for the company 2 weeks after that because they wanted to protect who was booking. Okay. And Dusty Rhodes was like, "No, baby, you can't book the show no more because people know you the booker. We can't have people knowing you the booker."
Yeah, well, he's doing a fantastic job with the booking of his character.
Yes, he does. Kevin always booked himself well.
And because a lot of people get heat, like Nash gets heat for booking himself and booked himself as like top guy. Hulk Hogan gets shit for booking himself, and he books himself. He pushes himself to beat everybody and look unstoppable. Kevin Sullivan may be booking himself to look good, but he's not being pushed as a top guy. He's just known as the top heel.
Well, Sullivan books himself to be the mastermind behind the group of bad guys. And as opposed to being the guy who dominates everybody, he has the giant to do the domination while he is the evil genius in the background.
He's getting other people over while being like, that's brilliant. That's the way things like that should be done. Like, it's really good. Like, I wanted to make sure I got that in there. I want to give it major props because I've been really enjoying the Kevin Sullivan heel here. It's just good shit.
Yeah, it is. It's really fun. The Dungeon of Doom for the large point of their run is a complete joke. Like, we will get to the what the hell's it called? The
one where he gets electrocuted or some shit like that.
No. That's the second worst match in WCW history.
Was that before? Was that pre-Nitro?
No, this is post-Nitro. It's the Doomsday Cage of Death.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you what show it's on because you're going to have to experience it for yourself.
I will.
But I will. It is a triple or double layer steel cage.
So it's like the one that DDP and Arquette were.
No. This is a rectangular steel cage.
Okay.
With 3 levels that is built in the entranceway with no ring in it. And then they fight from the inside of the cage. It's the Dungeon of Doom versus Hogan, Savage, and Luger.
Again,
and they to the ring, right? Eventually, and the good guys win. But Hogan, Savage, and Luger wear, especially, I know Hogan and Savage wear combat camos for the match.
Well, because I think Hogan wore that shit for the War Games.
Yeah, they wear it again for this.
So it must be coming up soon. Then it can't be that far off.
1996, I think.
Has to be early 96 because we're towards the end of 95.
But it is the worst match in WCW history. The Doomsday Cage of Death. It is terrible.
Okay.
That's coming up, and you are going to absolutely love it because it is complete chaos.
I fucking love chaos.
At one point, Luger hits
March 96.
I'm not even going to tell you.
Yeah, no. I'm looking forward to this now. It's March of '96, so we're a little
March
bit
96.
off from it, but I look forward to it now.
It's so bad, it's brilliant. Like looking back at it, because I watched it about a year ago, just when we still had the network. I watched it about a year ago, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is funny.
So I might do a live reaction to this match then.
Okay, I'll do it with you. I'd love to do that. Yeah, I'd love to do that. That'd be absolutely hilarious. It's a brilliantly bad show. That's the only way I can put it. But we finally get to our main event. Our main event, which is 4 weeks in the making.
Yeah.
Of Arn Anderson versus Ric Flair going in alone against his former horseman buddy inside the tiniest steel cage that I have ever seen.
Yeah, man. They could have jumped and been out of it. It looked like a dog kennel.
Yeah, it was so small. It was like Arn Anderson's head comes up to the top of the steel cage, and Arn is not that tall.
No.
Arn is not that tall. But this was a fun match. This even had Ric Flair coming off the top rope and nailing a double axe handle. He actually hit a top rope maneuver, which is so rare in Flair matches.
Yeah.
But this was, I hate to say it, but your standard Flair affair. For the most part. It was very quick. Flying Brian came out, interfered. Flair drops him. Then Flair goes for the figure four. Arn hits him with a spine buster. Flair goes to the shin breaker, goes to the figure four again. Arn pulls out a foreign object, clocks Flair. 1, 2, 3. Arn wins the match. This feud continues.
I'm okay with it though.
So am I.
That's why I'm giggling. I'll say the one hiccup. I just went back and looked at my notes because I wanted to see like when it started and all that. The Fall Brawl match that Flair and Arn Anderson had was a fantastic match.
Yes, it was.
It was really great. And I think for them to run 2 matches on Nitro and not trying to outdo it or duplicate it it's a smart move because you're not going.
Agreed.
So it was really good.
That was a tremendous match.
So Arn has won by he beat him at Fall Brawl. He got the DQ finish on week 5, and then he cheated in the cage to win in week 6. The one snafu has happened is in week 3, Arn and Pillman challenged him to a tag team match.
Yeah.
And then the next 2 weeks, it was just singles matches.
Yeah, because Flair couldn't find a partner.
But was that? I don't think that was ever anything that they have established on the show, though.
They mentioned it in commentary during this match. Bobby Brain Heenan goes on about it.
Okay.
Bobby talks about how he doesn't understand Ric Flair. He can't find anyone to be his friend. He won't even talk to Bobby. He wants to do everything on his own, so let him. So, which I thought was good. It was good little hedonism to get thrown in towards the end of the match.
I was going to say they brought it back around because after the match, which again, it was a nice, quick little match. They threw each other into the cage. Flair was on it. Like he was doing Flair things. Yeah. So then after he goes up to the commentary team and challenges them to a match, he goes, I'll take you both on next week. And then he said, I'm going to look for a partner. But if I don't find a partner, I'll take you both on next week. And it was like, okay. So they circled back around to it eventually. It just seemed weird that they made the challenge and then didn't come back to it until now after they.
But that is the controlled chaos that is WCW at this point.
I'm not gonna it's such a small little thing that it's not worth like deducting points on their grade.
No,
if I'm gonna be an analyst and I'm gonna do that, I'm trying to do a good job here, not just be a mark for WCW. Yeah. I will point out things that I notice like that. But again, it's a small thing. I don't think they've done anything majorly bad yet.
No, this is the thing. Nitro for me, since we started with this in episode 1, I know we're only 6 weeks in now, but it's gone from strength to strength.
Yeah.
Each show has had something on it that made me go, oh, whether it be Scott Norton's debut, whether it be the Sting matches, whether it be Sabu, there's been something each week to make me go, oh, okay.
And it's at this point, it's also the secondary show. So,
because WCW Saturday Night's the main show.
Yeah, and for a secondary show, it's really entertaining. So it's doing a good job. Most of the grades I've been given are, I think they've gotten 3 A's from me so far.
Yeah,
they've just been really good shows. So,
really good shows.
Yeah.
But speaking of your grade, James, how have you graded this week's episode of Nitro?
It missed the A mark by just a sliver. It gets a B plus. Again, they progress things. I think Hogan rambled a little too long.
He did.
I did like the Edge, but he did ramble a little too long. I just wasn't a fan of the count out with Road Warrior, Hawk, and Big Bubba Rogers.
Neither was I.
I feel like if you're not going to have the match, then you should have just had Road Warrior Hawk attack Disco in the aisle when he came out, and then the match just never happens. I don't know.
Makes more sense.
That's my only, I guess, gripe of the show is that match just shouldn't have happened if you're not going to do anything with it.
It was a space filler, mate. That was literally all it was.
And you don't have to have a fake match to be a space filler.
No, you could have just done a promo package. You could have done something.
Especially since the first match of the night was a space filler match.
Yes.
And I talk about this in week 5. Don't double dip on ideas in the same show.
No.
Especially when the show is only an hour long.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, watching this without adverts is 47 minutes.
Yeah. I think it was shorter than that for me.
I think it might be 44 minutes, actually.
I could check, but on mine, I don't think it was even that long. It was pretty short.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
dark matches. I want to get over the dark matches they had because this is a favorite thing that we do. You had Paul Orndorff defeating the Renegade. That's a fine match. That's a fine dark match. DDP, your WCW television champion.
We not have to reiterate this.
Television. And he retained against Alex Wright, which is another one of my favorites. I wish I could see that match.
Why wouldn't they put that on TV?
DDP and Alex Wright are,
as we say every week, he's the TV champion. He hasn't defended it on TV since he won the belt.
I'm assuming he's defending it on Saturday Night TV. So,
nope.
He's not?
Nope.
And this is just horse shit.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
That's the one thing I'll say they are doing a horrible job with then. You are not putting your WCW television champion on television at all. That's stupid.
It's absolutely bullshit. He hasn't been on TV since he won the belt.
And then
it was a massive gripe.
Let's see. So Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko was in week 5.
Yes.
And then they shook hands afterwards and agreed to have a rematch.
Yes.
The third dark match of the evening was the Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko rematch.
What? Why is this not on television, Eric?
Yeah. I'm assuming they're still going to have a rematch on television somewhere. I can't imagine this is the rematch, but it's like, that's a match I want to see. And then the Taskmaster defeated Macho Man Randy Savage in another dark match.
Again.
So, they have a bunch of good matches for next week, though, too. I think it was, what was it? Eddie and Benoit next week?
Eddie and Benoit. Which, like, if you can... It's very hard, I understand, for fans these days to separate what Benoit did from Benoit's career.
Yeah,
but if you can take yourself out of that just for 5 minutes and watch this match, Eddie and Benoit have chemistry like few other wrestlers do in the world.
Yeah.
And they have tremendous matches because Benoit, as much of a psycho as he turned out to be, was one of the greatest in-ring performers that we'd seen in generations.
Yeah, for sure.
It was just a severe amount of CTE and head trauma combined with roids can cause you to do severely messed up things.
Having Eddie be Benoit's first opponent after their chemistry, because I know they had a bunch of matches in New Japan. I've seen a few of them.
Yes.
And
that was
amazing chemistry. And I think to have that be Benoit's first opponent in WCW, it's a smart move. Really smart move.
Well, it's the same thing they did with Dean Malenko. Because Dean Malenko has tremendous chemistry with Eddie Guerrero from their ECW days. Yeah. So Bischoff, I had them on the strength of their ECW run. So when we run you against each other. So
Bischoff, I'm assuming Bischoff makes these matches.
Yes.
Okay. So that's another thing I want to correct, because everyone talks about how the WCW AEW comparison is going to continue to happen as long as I see them, and I see them they're clear as day to me. And everyone gives Tony Khan all this credit in the world for being a great matchmaker. If you don't like his booking, his matchmaking is really good.
Correct.
From what I'm seeing, Bischoff was a really good matchmaker.
He was.
For someone who wasn't as big a fan as someone like Tony Khan is of the business, Bischoff's a really good matchmaker so far, from what I'm seeing. I'm sure that's going to change down the road, but early days WCW, I think he's doing a really good job at the matchmaking.
Have you ever seen Eric's interview to get a job in WWE?
I've seen something on the rise and fall of WCW or some shit like that, where they kind of talked about.
If you
I
can
haven't seen the whole
find it,
thing.
it's out there, right? And there is a whole interview that Eric has to do where he has to interview a broom, and sell a broom as if it is a piece of merchandise for Vince McMahon. And before they go into the interview, he asks him who his hero is, and Eric Bischoff says Hulk Hogan. All right. Exactly. See that look? That is the look that every single grown-ass man should have when they hear that sentence. If you get a chance, watch this. But unfortunately, many, many, many people have seen this and were like, oh, Eric's just a fucking mark. It's like...
He is a mark for Hulk Hogan. 1,000%.
Hulk Hogan. That's why he pays him an exuberant amount of money to do his job.
Every promoter, even Vince McMahon, is a mark for a talent. Vince was a mark for Undertaker. 1,000%. Yeah. So
Mark for Austin.
That was fair. That one's fair.
Oh, that one was fair.
But they're all marks for certain individuals. Paul Heyman was a mark for Tommy Dreamer.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't care that he's a mark for the guy. I just hate that he allowed it to overtake the show. Because right now, what I'm seeing, he's a really good matchmaker. And another little tidbit I wanted to point out is Halloween Havoc is in Detroit, which is a great connection since Andre the Giant and Hogan happened in Detroit at the Silverdome. So those little things right there are really cool. And I think people praise, the current bookers now when they do little nods to the past.
Nuts.
Yeah. So this is a nod. And I think I wouldn't have noticed it back in the day. But now that I'm a little bit smarter to things, I'm not like a genius to the biz, but I'm smarter to things and I can recognize these things as an adult. And I think that's cool. Very good. I think he deserves little checks on the nod list for some of the things he's done so far. So I'm enjoying Nitro at this point. It's a really good show.
Do you know what? And the best thing is, because it's only an hour long at the moment, it's so easy to watch.
Yeah. Like time flies. Like I get my breakfast, eat breakfast, take notes, watch a show. I'm done with breakfast. I've like maybe 10 minutes left of the show, and then boom, it's good. It's a very easy watch. I don't feel like it's a task.
I had a turkey and ham sandwich. I watched Nitro. I took notes. I finished Nitro. Finished a sandwich. Did the show.
Yeah, it's an easy watch, and I appreciate that. So
that's great. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the show. That was WCW Monday Nitro from October 9th, 1995. I've been Nick the Geek. Here's been Jimmy Baby. And remember, we are but two geeks obsessed with a good show. And our opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. See you next week.
Toodles. Aha.